Thank you so much. So, William, thank you so much for joining actually this call today and to accept this meeting to record the solution about furnace speed and the purpose and how it can serve the customer in the food and beverage domain. So, I will leave the floor for you to start with the introduction about the company, and then we proceed more in the details of the product itself. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you. Thank you for the introduction. Yes, so my name is Will O'Dwyer, and I work for a built for NetSuite partner that has a food and beverage industry add-on for NetSuite. We are within NetSuite. We're built for NetSuite, so it's a totally identical interface to the existing Oracle NetSuite. Just a quick few minutes about us. Oops. We have been around since 2004, working with Oracle NetSuite. I and my partners in the business have been in the food service and the food manufacturing industry for a long time, longer than 2004. We first started doing HACCP monitoring, which is pretty much a requirement now, certainly in the West, for doing food. We have recipe management. We have all the features I think that food and beverage systems will need, and we'll show you that. So there's me on the screen and my partner CP Fung. We're based in the Far East. I am in Manila, based in Manila. We have a development and support team here, and CP is based in our headquarters in Hong Kong. So yeah, we have a lot of various awards. We've had a lot of experience. We've been Innovative Partner of the Year, and we have been certified as built for NetSuite, and we are a native suite app. Just a few details of some of our customers. So we have quite a few famous names here in the Far East. We have Pulem, which is branded as Putian, a famous restaurant chain. Tak Moon Holdings has many branches. We have some very big customers. Eat Well Culinary has now 297 outlets. So very many outlets at the moment and always expanding, all branded, all have the food considerations that you'd expect for a restaurant chain. We also have a chain called Marigami Udon, more than 100 branches. That is not just our target industry. So these are customers who have central kitchens and they send central kitchen items to the outlets and they sell in the outlets. And, we control the inventory in the outlets as well. We also have customers which are in the process manufacturing industry. Typically, that means things like coconuts, barley, wheat, any sort of natural process. Things also like over-oiling industries, where they do process manufacturing and they press oils onto foodstuffs. So that is a quick few minutes about the company and our existing customers. Now I'll give you an
So
overview of.
William, I can understand from that mean so it's not only about restaurants in the domain of the food and beverage, also you are targeting other type of food and beverage like manufacturer as well. So is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. So we have customers that do soybean processing, for instance, a company called Javia in Singapore. So that what they have is it's very typical in natural foods is they have soybean as their raw material, and from that soybean they make many different products. Feel 14 or 15 just from the soybean. So,
Perfect.
it's this concept of one ingredient in, many ingredients out. It's a natural product, has shelf life, has traceability, has some allergen requirements in soybeans and other natural foods. So, nutrition requirements, we have allergens, we have nutrition, we have HACCP, we have all the food control that would be expected. And here
Good.
on this slide is it gives you some more details about the different type of F&B industries. So, wholesale distribution, retail, manufacturing, food processing. We're being very successful at the moment in restaurant outlets that have a central kitchen. Reason is we have a module which I'll show you soon called the IUM, the Inventory Usage Management module. We have a shop supplies ordering module, and we have planning that is very quick to get the foods from the central kitchen to the outlets. And when the outlets sell it, it does a very good job of the costing. So here are some of the F&B features, and I will be showing you the software in just a few moments. We'll go through each of these modules in turn. At the core of our system is recipe management. So we have a recipe system, and I'll show you the features of the recipe system. Typically, this is an inverted bill of materials, so few items in, many items out. The particular recipe I'm going to show you today is fish and chips, but you can have recipes for banquets, for example. You can have a recipe that does the whole banquet order processing. You can have commissary recipes. You can have recipes for, as I say, making soybean products. So I'll go through those and try and highlight all the features. We've got production planning module. We've got some mobile interfaces for production and shop sales. The other key thing, differentiator, if you like, for food and beverage, certainly, is Catchweight. We have a Catchweight module which allows you to record and process inventory in two different units at the same time. Typical example is something like a chicken. A company wants to order 50 chickens, but they pay on the weight of the chickens. So what the system allows, the sort of the each unit, so a chicken, a block of cheese, a side of carcass, for instance, but also at the same time record the weight or any other unit. The two units are totally independent. So we have that feature in the Catchweight module. Right, onto the software. So now, rather than read through this, I'll go to FERNSPEED and I'll show you this fish and chips recipe. Here we go. So this is Oracle NetSuite, of course. We are a BFN product, so we're a menu item here, and these are a lot of the features we have here. We are certified for Suite Success implementations, so we can do quick implementations. So let me just go straight to the recipe. Oh, sorry. And this I'm in this board as a production manager, so I've got portals for production manager. Let me go to the fish and chips recipe. I'll go in view mode first, and then I'll show you some of the features.
Sure.
So
No problem.
thank you. So this is a fish and chips recipe. Make it slightly bigger. We have typically in food, you need effective dates of recipes. We have effective dates of recipes. We have version numbering, and we have different recipe purpose types. This is very important in food. We have new product development. Food and beverage, and even process manufacturing, they're innovative. They bring out new products all the time, and we have a new product development pathway. We have allergens, we have nutrition, so you can calculate the nutrition of your recipes. We can print allergen cards, and we also have HACCP now. In the latest release, 2024.2, we have HACCP management. I won't go through that in today, but just for food, this can be very important. The other thing down here, and I'll go into the ingredients in a minute, is we have production planning information. So this recipe to make these beautiful fish and chips the standard production quantity is 1. This is an outlet type recipe, but it could be to make 400, could be to make industrial quantities. It's got the maximum quantity of 20, so the system has production planning. I'll quickly go through some costing details, but this is for a target margin of 35%, and there's some very, we think, sophisticated costing features. Very important for food. Margins are usually quite tight. What I'll now do is I'll go into edit mode to show you some of the difference and specific things that food people like. One of the things that food people like, of course, is that it's called a recipe. In standard Oracle NetSuite manufacturing, it's called a bill of materials. And me being a food person for actually 40 years now, you can tell if you go into a customer and you say bill of materials, they know it's not really for them. So we start to use the right language. We use lot expiry, HACCP, recipes, expiry dates, allergens. So we use all of those. So let me quickly show you how we define a recipe. In FERNSPEED, these are normal inventory items inside of NetSuite. So we haven't changed anything. We've added a few fields, but these are just lot number inventory items or normal inventory items. So they have the same function inside of NetSuite. What we have is we have a fish and chips. This is a fish and chip item, and it is a primary item. So let me just go to here. Sorry, let me just select that. One of the key things about a recipe is you can have multiple products. So we have ingredients, of course. So I've got here sunflower oil, got some beer. This is beer, battered fish and chips. We can have things that are purchased items, and you can have waste products. Key thing is you have one main product. This is a primary product, but you can have unlimited co-products. Soya bean is that good example. You have a soya bean going into the process, and you have 15 different products going out, all in the same recipe. We also have a key thing for food and beverage is waste product handling. So typically in food and beverage, certainly in areas that are more regulated, shall we say, is quite often if you produce waste, it costs you money to get rid of the waste. In a FERNSPEED Oracle NetSuite recipe, you can define that, and the cost of disposal comes back into the system. Some of the other key things we have in a recipe is backflushing. Backflushing is the automatic allocation of inventory to the production order. Production order is our word for a work order, but most food and beverage people call it production orders. We have full yield management. We have potency, which is the strength of liquids as well. And we have some fairly sophisticated costing models, which I'll show you. Some of the other things here, you can put in machines and overheads. Overheads can be very important to food and beverage. For instance, you can do rental, admin costs. You can put in a machine, which is a mixing machine. So you can add pretty much any type of cost into the system. You can put in labor. I've got a chef here for 20 minutes. You can put in unlimited instructions, nutrition labeling. We are, of course, multi-subsidiary, so you can have different subsidiaries having different recipes, or you can share the recipe. So that is our recipe module. Let me just go back to the slide to make sure I've covered it. Yep, quantity, backflush. Yes, different machines. Yes, very good. So let me go back to the system. One of the things you can then do is you can do a cost calculation. What this then will do is it works out the cost of making the fish and chips. Key thing, just go down here. You can see the white flour is going to cost you, this is in euros, but depending where you are, it will pick up your currency. So here's the cost of all the ingredients. There's salt and pepper, the fish fillet. Because we've said it's a margin of 35%, this now gives you this powerful figure, which tells you it's going to cost you 7.95 euros to make this portion of fish and chip. Sorry, this is what you should be selling it for. This is different to your selling price. Your selling price can be whatever it is, but if you want to make a margin of 35%, this is the minimum sales price. On the left-hand side, what it says is if you made it today, looking at inventory, this is the price that you can achieve today selling it in inventory. So very powerful information. The next
I do have a
module,
question here, one question, William, which is during the recipe definition, you have the possibilities as well to define the sub-recipe, correct?
define the what recipe, Taha, sorry?
The sub-recipe.
Oh, yes. So, in the recipe itself, you see, this is an interesting one, the fish and chips. Let me
Yeah,
just show you this, because in this fish and chips, there's actually, we're making the fried fish itself, the batter, the processing. We're also making some chips as well. So what you can do is you can do it two ways. You can have different stages of manufacture in which you'd have chip making, for example, and you'd have
mm,
one called fish frying. So you can do it that way, all in one recipe. Or if you want, you could have a recipe to make the battered fish, and you can have a recipe, a sub recipe to make the chips. And the system understands all these relationships. So in terms of planning, it knows if you get an order to make 100 fish and chips, it knows you need to make so many chips, so many fish. If there's sub recipes, it will trigger a production order to make the chips separately from the battered fish. So yeah,
clear,
you can put in unlimited sub recipes.
perfect.
We have one customer that has, I think it's 7 levels of sub recipes. So, there's some complex manufacturing that can be done. This is from we have a Japanese food chain, and Japanese food seems to make a lot of separate products that then go into sort of the making of the final product. So yeah, sub products, sub recipes, totally fine.
Clear. Thank you.
Okay, next one is the FERNSPEED production order. Let me show you that. I'll explain it first. So what we have is you can create a production order. If you're more familiar with bill of materials type system, this is pretty much the same as a work order. So it's an instruction to make something at a set piece of time. Of course, with recipe management, you might have multiple co-products, waste products, you have allergens, HACCP inventory implications, but it's fundamentally the same in that it's a quantity, a time, and a unit to make. Typically for our customers, it can be generated from a forecast, it can be generated from a point of sale system, and it can be reached by the safety stock level of products. We are, as I say, totally inside of NetSuite. So we read all the inventory features inside of NetSuite, the shelf life, the safety stock, so we can use all those parameters. Um, the other thing about production order is we have full WIP recording. WIP stands for work in progress, or some people work in process. Either way, it means the same thing in that if you start your production, the cost of the ingredients go into WIP account, and then when you finish your production, your cost of WIP is allocated against the finished goods. We can do batch production. So that is where you have, say, a production order that lasts the entire week, and you issue, Monday, Tuesday, you issue some, Wednesday, you issue some, Wednesday, you receive some finished goods. So we can do batch production or also single production. Let me go to just one more slide. Its labeling is also very important in food and beverage. We have nutrition labeling, which is on screen. We can have allergen labeling, and we can have production labeling. So what can happen is if you're an essential kitchen type model, when you produce the goods, you produce a label, put the label on the goods, and it's sent to the various outlets. Let me show you a production order. I have one here pre-prepared. I think here it is, production order. And what this does is it's a production order. In this case, it's to make just one each of the fish and chips. System will automatically pick up the correct version that's effective on that specific date. It tells you some information where you get the ingredients from, which is in the recipe, where the whip location is, which is in effect a virtual location. And then what you can do is you can then complete the order and confirm the order. Let me just quickly go through this process for you, confirming the order. And then I won't take you through the rest of this, but what we can do is the production order has been confirmed now. So now what happens is that the ingredients are here. It's got the quantities you need scaled up for whatever your production batch size is. It's got your machines and overheads. If these been allocated to be issued automatically, it will backflush them. And you can see here, there's nothing being issued yet. So what happens is then you go through the recording process and you then complete the order. Again, because we're totally inside of NetSuite, we haven't altered the posting engine, the GL posting engine. So what happens is the postings that have been approved by the GAAP and audited many, many times are all created inside of the standard NetSuite financial GL engine. One of the things we have, which is liked by our customers, is we have a mobile recording device. Let me just show that to you now. This is really, it is a still a NetSuite screen. So it's a NetSuite screen that's been modified to be good for users to use. We have a web designer, a mobile designer on staff, and what they've done is they've created a NetSuite URL. So it has all the security, has all the features of the security of NetSuite, but big buttons, and in this application, you can record what you've made, what you've issued. You can print a label here, or you can order the labels to be printed. They're printed on your local machine. So this is a nice, tidy mobile interface for production ordering. The functionality is smaller than a normal NetSuite user because you don't want the production people who are the people who are doing the reporting to record too much. So it's like machines, labor, ingredients, and how much they made. Typically in food, there's things like unused ingredients. So the warehouse might issue a whole 25 kilos of salt. They only use a little bit. They can send it back. So you can unuse ingredients. Also, unfortunately, in food, you quite often have food write-offs. So something's happened, something's spilled, and here you can write off. Great thing, of course, is because they're in the system, what this means is that the cost of this is all accurately recorded. And then, as we saw earlier on that costing screen, the people see the actual real costs of making the product. They have the theoretical cost because they have the recipe, and you get very, very useful variances for this. So people can see if they're achieving the recipe cost. If they're not, they can ask the right questions, so you can achieve great efficiencies. Okay, if there are any questions, I'll just move on to the next one.
Yeah, I do have just one question, William, actually. So what I understand that production order, it's a record inside NetSuite. It's separate than the normal work order of the module of the work order and assembly. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay.
Initially, in sort of the history of the product, we knew that recipes had to be redesigned because BOM was not suitable for food people.
Clear.
We
Clear.
tried initially to use work orders to address the normal NetSuite work orders, but in the same way, they're not suitable for food people, really. You know,
Okay.
multiple end products, different ways to do nutrition and allergens. So we had to create custom records.
And
Uh,
it
uh,
will
uh,
do the normal costing calculations, even considering the costing of the co-product, whatever have been
yes,
mentioned in the recipe itself. Fine. Clear.
yes, yes. Yeah, we a lot of food and beverage companies we come across are very cost conscious, of course, because it's very tight margins. So the costing is very precise. So people seem to love the costing. It gives you very good information from two points of view. From like a cost accountant's point of view, they can
Yeah.
really see the cost of making products, which is great. But also from a production manager's point of view, they can see where any wastage is going on. So
Okay.
it's much loved for that.
And I can see the application of this production order module. It might be, let's say, with a restaurant chain, they do have a central kitchen, right? Or a food and beverage
Yes,
manufacturer, they will do have a factory or plant to produce.
yes.
This will not be used in the shops itself because the shops they
No,
will use the points.
no.
Okay, clear,
Yeah,
clear.
we have another app which I'll show you later, which is the shop ordering app. Does a similar thing, but from a point of view of the outlets. The outlets, this is, as you say, this is primarily used by people in a central kitchen where they have a big production, but it is used at some of our restaurant chains where they have in-house kitchens, so it can be used there. The
Okay,
other thing I should have said as well is this is a mobile app, so it works on Android, iPhone, and there's some very nice devices now, cheap, that have scanning abilities. So this is totally compatible with scanning. So it's
great,
very easy for the users to use. And, you know,
great.
the quite when I was actually working in industry, we used to call the kitchens the black hole because what happened, the they had a whole load of ingredients, they had a whole load of outputs, but there was nothing known about the middle of this. Chefs being quite creative, there was quite a lot of wastage. Never one was really quite sure about what happened in this black hole. Um, so now with this, you know exactly what's happening. When they make 50 fish and chips, you know how much fish, how much potatoes they've used. So it gives very good information.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you, William.
Okay, a quick word about FERNSPEED planning or Oracle NetSuite food and beverage planning. I won't show you this in the software, but the purpose of this is it plans your finished goods and it plans any ingredients. In the sort of history of the product, we try to use the standard NetSuite demand planning, which is a brilliant module. The only problem is it doesn't take into account shelf life. Food and beverage is very dependent on shelf life. Fish and chips, for example, if you make fish and chips, you can't order fish and wait 2 weeks for it to be used. It has to be used fairly quickly. So we rewrote demand planning, we rewrote requirements planning. Basically, the module looks at forecasts. If you have forecasts, look at shop sales, looks at the minimum reorder levels, then it would plan to make the finished goods at the right place, at the right time, at the right quality. Yeah, once you've created these production orders or suggested production orders, it then creates a requirement plan for any purchased items. So, for instance, if you need to order some potatoes, it will create a purchase order for potatoes in order to meet your demand. So that's a quick word about
Clear,
planning. Sorry, any questions?
clear. Yeah, that's a clear. Fine.
Okay. The next module is what we call the ingredients usage management module. This is probably the best use case is Eat Well in Indonesia. They have 297 outlets at the moment. By the time you're viewing this, they've probably got 299. They're very aggressive. Each one of their outlets has an end of day closing. So there are restaurants and fast food. They have a whole variety of different operating models. At the end of the day, as you know, the outlet end of day, the point of sale data comes into NetSuite, creates a sales order What then happens is in the system, we know the recipes that they've sold. So they might have sold 10 fish and chips. We know the recipe that's used to make the fish and chips. We know the inventory in the outlets. An outlet for us is just a location in NetSuite. We then deduct the ingredients. And one of the key things that our customers like is we then can work out the costs. So, for instance, on the point of sale system, it says I've sold 10 fish and chips at €5 each. We look at the recipes, we look at the inventory in the outlets, and we can work out exactly how much it costs them to make those fish and chips, and we put that number on the sales order line. So the company has really beautiful data, in my opinion, that they know the exact profit margin per line, per outlet of everything in the system. We've got some very nice analytics that show profit by region, by brand, by type, and it is quite amazing the information that this gives the customer. They can work out which shops are performing well. They can work out which particular items are profitable. It's just a wealth of very good data. Uh, the other thing I should mention about this module is totally transparent to the user. So the working out what the recipe, say we're making fish and chips, we sold 10 fish and chips. On the item in NetSuite, we know the recipe to make that, so we automatically do all this background processing. For instance, with the customer in Indonesia, 297 outlets, all the processing of all the lines of the sales is completed by around 9 a.m. the next morning. Some of our smaller customers, for instance, another customer with 100 and Marugame, 140, I think, restaurants now, is completed by about 4 a.m. with the less volume of data. Just got a few screens here. So what happens is we link to the POS. We're very good at linking to POSs now. We link with each 365, OFAN. We have a CSV import. So we bring it in as a sales order. There's then an automatic routine that says it's to be updated. Then what happens on each line in the recipe, each line in the sales order, we say what is the associated recipe. We then process that, and on the sales order line, we put the cost of making that. In NetSuite, of course, we obey the full costing rules. So what's it, LIFO, FIFO, average costing we can use to create these. So powerful module, which people seem to really like.
Yeah, I get so clear.
Okay. Next one is, yeah, this is what Taha and I spoke about a little bit earlier, which is the mobile interface for shop supplies ordering. A pretty poor name, actually. The requirement for this is, as I say, a lot of our customers are now in the retail food industry, central kitchen with outlets, a company for like Puchen, for example, a very famous chain here in the Far East. What they do is they have a requirement that in the outlets, so in the shops themselves, they have the requirement that the managers or the shop people know that they're short of some product. So, for example, my favorite, Coke Zero, someone in the shop might say, "Oh, there's been an over demand for Coke Zero. I'm going to order some of this." So it's a very nice, easy way that they can request items. Again, it is a normal NetSuite URL, has all the security, all that sort of good features from NetSuite. It's just been modified to fit the outlets. So what they can do is they can do a shop request, which means they can request from external suppliers. And as long as the external supplier has been approved, it's the approved supplier, the purchase order can automatically go through to the supplier. Typically in food, it's quick. So we have customers that do the shop ordering at the end of the day. So 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, we have a new customer that they're actually a casino and their outlets do their end of day at 4 o'clock in the morning. What then happens is the request for the supplies go out and literally they're dropped off that same day in the case of the casino. So or early morning the next day. So very quick. We do actually have one interface to WhatsApp. WhatsApp, I mean, it's pretty worldwide now, but we can send a WhatsApp message to the local supplier to say, drop me off 10 bags of onions tomorrow morning. The good thing about this and what our customers like is this is also totally controlled inside of NetSuite. So if they want to request onions from a local supplier, it creates a real purchase order with all the inherent controls on that, and it will then do all the necessary processing. In here, you can do things like shop receiving as well. So someone creates a request. We have two levels. A manager can approve the request, and then sometime later, quite often the next day or a bit later, you can do the receiving. The other thing we do is shop transfers. Quite often in all our customers, they transfer items from one shop or one location to another. So on the app itself, you can do a controlled shop transfer. I think, yep, that's the only screen of that. So that's our
So,
shop.
perfect. Just one question, William. So, as a result from these type of transaction, shop request, receive, so it will create the right type of transaction in NetSuite, like transfer order, purchase order,
Yes,
etc. Right? Okay, fine.
yes. Yes, so we have in principle, we haven't really touched the inventory engine or the GL posting engine. So
Okay,
our philosophy is we have custom records, a lot of custom records, but they trigger real standard NetSuite transactions. You know,
okay,
we want to make something very easy for food and beverage, but we don't want to go against any sort of big NetSuite processes.
true, true,
Yep.
clear.
Okay, and the shop mobile as well. You can categorize, all the what type of purchase it is, consumables. It gives you the full ability to control those. Last one, I think, and then at the end, just do a few sort of coming features that we've got coming up. Is the dual unit inventory management. So this is Catchweight. Older food and beverage like me call it Catchweight. It's a very sort of old food and beverage term. Younger people might call it dual unit, but I think in certain countries it's still called Catchweight. This is the ability, it's a slightly unusual thing, it's the ability to have an item that has two different units of measure. So what happens is that chicken is the typical example. When you buy a chicken, you order on a purchase order, for example, a chicken, you might say to the supplier, I want 100 chickens. Each chicken is a different weight, though. So what happens is they'll deliver the 100 chickens, but they are going to bill you for, say, 52.3 kilograms worth of chickens. So whatever the actual weight of the chickens is. Alternatively, you might want to order 55 kilos of chickens, and then they might send you 105 chickens to make up that weight. So what we have in FERNSPEED is the ability to do this dual unit inventory management. What we have is, and sort of the philosophy that I mentioned before, is we still use the standard NetSuite inventory unit. So it's always the costing unit. So in this case, the chickens will be measured in kilograms. So at the bottom line, it's the amount you pay in that we keep as standard. We've got a whole separate set of inventory records that monitor the catch rate unit. So what happens is whenever you move the chickens, if you sell the chickens, if you put the chickens in manufacturing, all of those can be used the catch rate unit. So if you transfer something between warehouses, it tells you how many chickens you've transferred or how many kilos of chickens. So it keeps track of both the catch rate unit and the normal inventory unit. Um, it's the way we've done this is, well, obviously a set of very complex custom records, but we have a few flags on the item master that identify it as a catch rate unit, and it puts in the default catch weight unit. In, for example, chickens, it's one chicken is usually, I don't know, 1.2 kilos, whatever it is. That's a big chicken. But that's the default unit, and the system allows you to use both those units on purchasing, all inventory move, all inventory movements, inventory adjustments, inventory transfers, manufacturing, and if you sell it, it allows you to sell it. In this case, say for example, you are selling chickens again, it's probably another easy. Selling baked chickens. You have a recipe to do something fancy with a chicken, add some herbs, add some spices, you cook it. You still might sell a chicken, and then the chicken is weighed and they pay on the weight of the chicken. So it allows you to do all of that. So just a quick few. Oh, sorry. Any questions about catch weight dual unit?
I guess it's clear. I was having one question actually regarding if we can use it in the manufacturing, but as you mentioned,
Yes.
yeah, it can. So we can
Yes.
produce an item that have dual unit of measurement or a catch weight.
You can. You can. Yeah.
Okay, fine.
The other two things sort of we are like main Oracle NetSuite, we have two releases a year. In the current release, what we've just released is HACCP is a recent release, so hazard analysis, critical control point, the control of food, very um, actually legally mandated in some countries now. Not here yet in the Philippines, but it will be soon enough. The other thing released is RCCP, which is rough cut capacity planning. This allows this allows managers and production people to see how much demand there is in any of their machines, labor, even ingredients. For example, if you're in the catering industry, you had a big demand on Saturday to cater for a very big event. System will be able to tell you, well, you don't have the capacity to do this at the moment. You don't have enough chefs. You don't have enough machines. So, it gives you the information that can allow you to plan better. Take on some more machines, work some overtime. So it allows you to see any over and under usage. Under usage is also very useful. You can see if any of your people or your machines and even your ingredients are being underutilized. The other thing that we're doing, we're very aggressively putting in features like NetSuite. In the 2025.1 release, we're going to have food-specific quality management features. One of the typical things about food is quality management is not done necessarily on transaction, which is pretty much the thrust from the NetSuite QMS. It's normally transaction based. Food and beverage, they often do it periodic inventory, periodic times, or during process manufacture. They do it even during random times and do things like automatic quantity scheduling. So we are putting in the 2025.2 release the ability to do food and beverage type quality management. This is the last slide here. That's our headquarters address. Um, Taha or someone can also give you my details. Quite happy to take calls. And our SuiteApp is published in the SuiteApp. So if you look under F&B or FERNSPEED, you'll be able to find all our details.
Perfect.
That is pretty much what I wanted to say today, Taha. Anything else?
Actually, Thank you so much, actually, William, for this great presentation. I can see
My
that,
pleasure.
yeah, the solution is targeting different food and beverage challenges as well as, I can say, restaurant and hospitality. Just one last question, maybe if because I'm sure there will be some question regarding the pricing. So as I can see,
Oh,
it's
yes.
like similar to NetSuite. It's a modular base, I can say, right?
Yes.
But I don't know if you can highlight something about that and
Oh, yes.
yeah.
Sorry. So yeah, yes. So yeah, we are very similar to Oracle NetSuite pricing. So what we do is in the line item that you present to the customer, it will be a line that says FERNSPEED recipe management or just recipe management, and it will be a module price. Normally, we are in line with the NetSuite module prices. So say $450 a month, whatever the current price listing is. And the IUM is another module. It'll be a line item. It is our software, so it belongs to FernSpeed. So we're certainly open to discounts. For example, the restaurant chain in Indonesia with the 297 outlets.
Hmm,
They got a very good discount because 297 is a lot of outlets. So yeah, we're open to any discounts, any
perfect.
selling. I'm available for any demos, whatever. But yeah, we're a line item. We
Okay.
are comparable to them using manufacturing. We're in fact slightly cheaper, but we're comparable to them getting the manufacturing module.
So and I guess we spoke before that no need to position the work order as simply module because
No.
already in case if let's say a central kitchen is there or manufacturer is there. Okay,
Yeah.
just another two question actually came to my mind. The first one, which is the capability of having translation, because if let's say
Oh,
uh,
yes.
we need to run the system in another country, like maybe we need the Dutch language or other language. What
Yes.
are the capability of translation?
Yes, so that's one of the big advantages of being BFN, so built for NetSuite, is we can just use the standard translation features inside of NetSuite. We have, I mean, this is not particularly useful for people outside of the region. We have Bahasa, which is Indonesian. We have Filipino. We have Chinese, the two versions of Chinese, and as long as we have someone to do the translation. It's a very rapid process doing it. We've started on the Dutch one. I was looking at it the other day. It's not completed yet, so there'll be some time to do that. But
Okay.
we just need someone that speaks the language.
Yeah.
We did try AI language generation, but they tend to translate things very strangely. But yeah, the net time from to create, say, a German version it's certainly in the order of weeks, and we can commit to doing that ourselves. So, if it's a good prospect, we can commit as part of the contract to get it into German. I have a number of German friends who will translate it for me. So
Fine.
there's no big issue with translations.
Okay. And last thing, which is you have the capability to work, let's say, with CS or professional service team, or maybe with
Yes.
other AB partner. So in different countries. So you have the
Yes.
capability, flexibility of that.
Yeah, we're open. We've worked with alliance partners in Singapore. We worked with solution provider partners all over the region, Australia, Malaysia. Where we're allowed to, in some regions, we can't let direct services implement us, but it depends on the local rules. But we certainly have implemented with direct before. The big project we're doing now in Manila, where I am, is a casino project, and we're working with direct sales, NetSuite direct sales. So yeah, there's no restrictions on us with working with anyone.
Perfect. I guess for more details, the team they can reach out to you for each individual
Yes,
engagement.
uh,
That would be great.
absolutely. Or I'm always available. Yeah.
Thank you so much, William. Thank you
My
so much
pleasure.
for being here today and present FERNSPEED, and hope to speak soon, inshallah. Thank you so much.
Great.